Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and today I'm going to do a challenge called the Next Book Challenge. I saw this on Instagram, looked like fun, and basically it's just a couple different categories of the next book I'm going to choose. So I'm gonna, I'll put the prompts down below. If you know who this originated with, let me know and I'll tag them. But for now, the first one prompt is the next book I want to read. So the next book I want to read is Victoria McComb's Woods of Silver and Light. I way backtracked Victoria McCombs. I've read two of her series and loved them, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the beginning and read everything that she's ever written because I loved it so much. And so this is part of her Storyteller Daughter series, where there are fairy tale retellings at the very beginning. I really love the first one in the series, so I'm excited to jump into this one next. Next book I'm hoping to buy, and I will pop a picture up here. So I have two. I have The Peasant King by Tessa Afshar, which continues the Hidden Prince kind of story with some of the same characters. So I'm looking forward to that, which is biblical history romance. Yeah, it's a lot of little some genres, but it follows the story, I believe, of the scribe that is in the Hidden Prince, who is like a scribe to Cyrus, who is in the book of Daniel and all of that. Anyways, so I'm hoping to continue that. I actually did just physically order that. So that is the one I'm hoping to buy. Next one I'm hoping to buy after that. And I'm saving up and hoping to get the first trilogy from Robin Hobb. I'm hoping this September to do Sci-Fi September and wait, is that sci-fi or is that fantasy? I don't remember. But in either way, in September, it's my birthday month. I want to focus. I want to read Robin Hobb. I've heard such great things, and so I'm hoping to save up for that. Then the next book with history, I have two. So I have like a nonfiction and a fiction history that I want to read. So next nonfiction history I really want to read is History on Trial, because I saw the movie of this, and it's like beyond everything is one of my favorite movies. And it's about a Holocaust denier, and how Deborah Lipstadt, an American Jewish woman who is a history teacher, and how she is basically put on trial to prove that the Holocaust happened, because somebody's saying that she's telling lies, and so she's liable. And so I'm very excited to read this. The movie, I believe, is called Denial, and it is phenomenal. And so I'm hoping to get into this. This will probably be a slower read because it's a little heavier, and it's a very small print, but I'm excited to read that. And then I'm going to read The King's Fifth by Scott Odell, which is a historical fiction. It is a middle grade, but I did just realize this would probably work for Alma's book challenge. I was trying to think historical fiction in Latin America. What am I going to read? That's exactly what this is. And it's on my to read in multiple categories. So I'm going to read The King's Fifth by Scott Odell, who wrote Island of the Blue Dolphins. And that is my next book with history in it. The next book that I'll probably get 5 stars is going to be Brandon Sanderson, because I have yet to read a book by Brandon Sanderson that I didn't give 5 stars to. And so I'm hoping to pick this back up soon. Like I've told you in the past, like I love it, but I have to be able to like really commit and dive into his worlds. And so I'm very excited to continue this. I'm very intrigued. It finally got to the point in the world building where I'm like, okay, I kind of understand what's going on. I'm a little bit connected with characters, and I'm ready to keep going. And I keep putting a post-it on it because I don't know, it just feels like that might not be the most appropriate picture for a mom with little boys running around. And then the next book that I will likely reread is actually, I'm going to save that one for the end. The next book in a series that I'm going to read is book 1.5 from Abigail Breyer in the Kingdom Come series and Sea of Sorrows. I have been dying to get to this, and I just keep pushing it off, and I need to commit because this is like 1.5, and I really want to go to book 2, but I feel like, you got to read 1.5 first, even though every part of me wants to skip this side character story. I know I would regret that, so I'm going to dive into it hopefully here soon. And then next book on Libby is Melanie Dickerson's The Merchant's Daughter. I'm trying to continue her Hagenheim series, I think is what it's called, which is fairy tale retellings in like medieval Germany. or Britain. I don't know. They seem very German. It's weird. I did start it, and I'm glad I started the audiobook of it, and it's a much better reader than the first one, because the first one was it was a rough reader. I had to switch to a digital copy because I couldn't handle the narrator. The narrator in this one is wonderful, and so I have no clue what fairy tale retelling it is. I am really enjoying going blind into a lot of books lately, and so I just know it's the next one in the series, and I have read the second to last book in the series accidentally because I didn't know, because they could be standalones, but they're also connected, that kind of thing. And so I have no clue. It's a fairy tale retelling set in medieval Germany with a British narrator. I don't know. So I'm excited to continue that. And the next book that I plan to read by a new to me author is Everything Sad is Untrue, a true story by Daniel Nayeri. And honestly, I don't know anything about it. I know nothing about this book. Again, I know it's won a lot of awards. A lot of people love it. I've seen it circling so many different groups that I'm like, okay, I needed to read it. I honestly have no idea. I'm like, there's so many things going on in the back of this book. I couldn't even pull it off. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot going on the cover too. Wow. So yeah, that's my next new to me author. I know he had a book of the year this year with the No Bad Librarian or something like that, No Bad Teacher. And so I'm excited to finally try this author. And that brings me back to the book that I'm going to likely reread next. And I am in the middle of rereading The Betrayal of Eden of Aaron Phillips. And the reason I said I would save this prompt for last is because the next book, The Hunt of Calypso, is what I'm going to reread next, because I'm finishing up this reread for the release of book 2. It releases on Friday. I pre-ordered because I'm cool like that. No, because I loved it so much that I immediately joined her street teams, and I got this beautiful package. If you order from Erin, I've bought all but one of my books directly from her, and they come so beautifully packaged with goodies like her business card, which I love her little tagline, dark stories that shine the light, because she's a Christian author, but her stories don't mention Christ. They don't mention Bible verses per se. They have that light of the Lord throughout them, and I love it. This one came with some little characters. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I love them. It's a little sticker. And then I got a bookmark. And you have, if you haven't read book 1, just know there's 2 of the characters there. And I'm so excited. It's got her other books on the back. I love the little art. She has some great artists out there. And then I got a glossary of resources found in the Grimoire and Key series. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look at this again. Okay, I think I know what I think I know what I'm going on here. And I can't open this because the cover reveal and all of it is happening on Friday. So join me on Instagram and we will share all about it. It is a lovely book, and I cannot wait to reread this. Next, it is, I will tell you, book 1 follows Eden. Now these are a Count of Monte Cristo retelling, and in a dark academia fantasy, and this one is much more YA. This one is like a couple years later, and so it's a little bit more grown up, and then the next one is gonna, which isn't even out yet because obviously, but the next one will be even further in the future, because it's like Count of Monte Cristo, which covers like 20 years, okay? And so in this one, we are introduced to the first characters, and they are in a school setting. And Eden works for the school. She is a Fanite. She is one of the poorest of the poor, and she's looking to move up in the world. She wants to do better. She is friends with some of the elite, and she is trying to find her way into better standing so that, you know, she has a warm house and she can care for her father and all these different things. They live in a kingdom that has a special kind of magic, and you don't get to know much about the magic in this one. You're just kind of getting introduced to it and the ramifications, because magic has a price. And you follow Eden, and then you also follow a young man, Hunter Calder, and they cross paths very briefly in this story, but in unique ways. And I absolutely loved every bit of it. Eden was a character who, like the Count of Monte Cristo, like Edmond Dantes, is very naive at the very beginning. And he's just very innocent and naive and doesn't understand what all is going on. and then there's the betrayal. And so you as a reader will see that leading up. If you know Count of Monte Cristo, you will see a little bit more. Now, I have not read Count of Monte Cristo. I'm about 30% through Count of Monte Cristo, and I am slowly chipping away at that mammoth tome, which is somewhere back there on that shelf. It is huge, and it is, I'm realizing that a lot of the characters that are in here we're not in the Jim Caviezel movie, which is all I've ever seen. And so I am realizing, oh, there is more to the Count of Monte Cristo story, which is truly beautiful and phenomenal. But it, like I said, taking me a while to get through that book, and I'm loving this retelling of it. And I love how these two kind of are so vastly different and yet build off of each other. It's just phenomenal. So let me get you a bookmark so you can see it. The Hunt of Calypso. It comes out on Friday. Highly recommend you go pick it up, especially if you're reading book one, because it ends on a doozy of a cliffhanger. And so that is the one I am clearly very excited to reread. And I'm excited because I'm seeing, when you go through a reread of a series, you find all those little Easter eggs and nuggets and tie-ins, and you're like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And then if you're doing a reread of a retelling, as you read the original, it's so much more. You gotta read them all. And I'm very excited because in May, I'm going to be telling you about another book I'm rereading. It's a book series that is also a Count of Monte Cristo retelling, which I did not realize, and I love it. And its final installment comes out this summer. So come back in May and we'll talk even more Count of Monte Cristo because that's the way this is going. So that is the next book challenge. If you want to join me, I'm going to leave the prompts below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.